Do you know how many of us women are still suffering, living in some very defeating positions simply because we are trying to be so perfect that we are not allowing ourselves to look beyond the true skills that we have? The very fact that you are being so hard on yourself is what's holding our progress back. Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Octavia. On this platform, we share all things self-love, where we are learning in the season of our lives to rediscover ourselves from the inside out and just to do whatever it is that makes us feel completely at peace with ourselves and in love with ourselves, no matter if it means us doing it alone. So girly girl, as you would know if you have been on my channel before, but if you don't know, I have been on a 30-day self-love journey where I'm learning to love myself unconditionally without guilt. And I have met upon a roadblock on day 5, as today is, and that is one where I immediately started to feel burnout. I immediately started to feel as though I no longer wanted to do this challenge. I was starting to feel as though it's not realistic, it does not make any sense, and this just really brought me back to a place where I had to be grounded in my thoughts. And I said to myself, okay Octavia, if it's a case where you're feeling so burnt out so quickly on day 5, what is the reason? And the only thing that I could come up with is the fact that I am too hard on myself. I'm always trying so hard to strive for perfectionism. I'm always trying to ensure that things are done seamlessly, and I'm like, if you continue like this, you are going to miss out on what God truly has in store for you. You are going to miss out on your happiness. You're going to miss out on the beauty of the journey because you are so hard on yourself. And you really need to get over this flaw. You really need to get into the habit of taking baby steps, doing things one day at a time. And as usually guys, as I always tell you, I'm a person that loves to internalize things. I am a great overthinker, and so I just started to think. I just started to say to myself, Octavia, do you know how many of us women are still suffering, living in some very defeating positions simply because we are trying to be so perfect that we are not allowing ourselves to look beyond the true skills that we have? And I'm mainly speaking on the fact that I've always loved vlog style content. Just for reference, right? I love vlog style content, and I feel as though this is the content that I consume like 98% more than how I would do sit down content. So I thrive to create that type of content as well for my audience, because I'm saying I love vlog style content that I see women living their best lives and trying very much to elevate themselves on a day-to-day basis. Then that's of course the type of content that I want to create also. But one thing that I was completely forgetting, girly girl, is just how good I am with advice, just how good I am in motivating others, just how good I am in making other persons feel better about a specific situation that may concern their self-development. I am so good at that, you guys. I've always been told that I'm very good at motivational speaking and all these things, but I allowed the fact that simply because I'm so good at creating vlogs and I like the editing styles and all these things, that creating content that would give women advice and share the life lessons that I have learned so far in my 31 years of life is not good enough. For me, I'm saying to myself, no, that's not good enough. I should only be producing vlog style content. And I have traced back in my life, you guys, where I've realized that this is the same type of attitude I've gone through all my life with. I have missed out on so many perfect opportunities. I have missed out on so many blissful moments by thriving to be perfect, by thriving to be just one-minded. And this, you guys, have been a really awakening for me. And that is because you cannot experience the beauty of life by being perfect. You cannot experience what life truly means by being always on point, you know? And so I have finally decided that, girl, you gotta give the girlies some really sound advice while you also go ahead and portray your lifestyle through your vlogs, but you need to mix up your content. And this just goes for our everyday life as well. Every single day we thrive to become the best version of ourselves. We thrive to become that successful woman. We thrive to become the best mom. We thrive to become the best one in our job. We thrive to become just the best at every single thing that we do, only to realize that we are missing out on life. We are literally holding ourselves back by thriving to be so perfect. And this was really an awakening for me this morning, because I was literally at the point where just on day day 5 of creating my little series, I was already burnt out. Was I burnt out from the activities? No. I was burnt out from just thinking how perfect I need to be for these 30 days, that the very thought of going on this self-love journey burnt me out. And I felt as though I did not want to create any content anymore. I did not want to do this series anymore. I was just going to scrap it. Even with that little secret that I told you guys about that I'm working on, I was like ready to scrap everything, because I'm like, this is too much pressure. It's not realistic, and it is just not a part of the lifestyle that I want for myself in this new season of my life, where I'm learning so diligently to love myself without guilt. And so this just brought me back to a place where I'm saying to myself, and I'm using this opportunity to say to you, girly girl out there as well, that the very fact that you're being so hard on yourself is what's holding our progress back. We're so afraid of making the mistake. We're so afraid of failing. We are so afraid of being, not where we think we should be. And even for me, you guys, in my own business, this was one of the major reasons why my business failed that I had back home in Jamaica. And that was because my aim in that business was to be perfect. And I did reach perfection. But in reaching that perfection, what were the sacrifices that I had to make? What were the things that I had to give up? Family time, my rest, my sense of self, my sense of peace, taking on a major loan just because I wanted to be perfect. And 5 years later, even after all of that business has been crashed, I am still having so hard to recover. Why? Because of perfection. I refuse to allow myself to have started in a humble state. And this is not just about humility, but I feel like one of the number one reasons why most women thrive for perfectionism is because we're already looked at as the minority. We're already looked at as the one who can't do it. Our job is only to stay in the house and take care of kids and clean and do all things domestic. And so when we do thrive to go after something that the world is against us doing, we thrive for it to be so perfect. We thrive for it to be one of a kind, simply because the world itself has failed us in believing that we can do anything more than just domestic work. And so I clearly 100% understand from a personal standpoint of just how hard it is to really go for it, girl, and be prioritizing yourself and loving on yourself and taking care of yourself while also trying to make a name for yourself. It is not easy trying to get up every single day and be on the grind and ensuring that you don't fail, ensuring that the persons that you have looking forward to see you crumble to the ground have to swallow their spit. It is not easy to be having to do all those things, but at the same time taking that moment to rest and to be calm and to be tender and to give yourself grace and to do all these self-love habits. It is very much hard. But at the same time, girly girl, I want us to remember at the end of the day, us going about and trying to please the world is not our responsibility. The only responsibility that we have is to ensure that us are being true to ourselves and we're being exactly who God called us to be, and we're operating on God's time and not man's time. And so, girly girl, I want to go ahead and share with you the 5 ways how I am going to be ensuring that I no longer allow perfectionism and self-sabotage to prevent me from living the life that I know I so desire to live. Let's jump into tip number 1, and that is to stop overthinking. I overthink every single thing. Like, I am the type of person, I am so creative. Things come to my mind like this. I am a quick thinker. Like, I will just be walking and an idea pops in my mind and I'm ready to go at it. I start to design, I start to create, I start to do all these things, and girl, give me 5 minutes. All I need is 5 minutes and my brain just starts to go all crazy. And why? I start to think about all the possibilities, all the nays, all the this, all the that, how best I can do it. Not just starting where I can, but my mind is already within the first 5 minutes. My mind is already asking me, how best can you do this? Can you top the persons that are doing it right now? Can you stand out? Can you do this? Can you do that? How much more money you can make from this? And it's just started to be like a nightmare in my head. It's like a ticking time bomb going off, and right then and there I find myself, instead of just taking things in that moment, instead of just allowing that little idea that I got to mature and to allow it to come to fruition, I'm already thinking how best I can create this. I'm already thinking to top the person that's already doing it. I'm already thinking that, girl, you know what to do. You can do the best. Your aim is to be the best, and so you're striving to be the best, and you don't need to start at the bottom. And are you like me? Girl, are you like me? My head is already going off on all the things that I can do perfect with this idea, and that alone is always so unrealistic that it never ever comes to fruition. I never end up executing this thing because I'm already thinking how big I can do it, knowing that I can't start right there, but not allowing my perfectionism flaws to be quiet so that I can really just start where I can. So girly girl, I want us to remember that overthinking is a sickness that we have to get rid of if we truly want to thrive on this self-love journey, while also ensuring that, girl, we go after the things that we so desire and need in our lives. Overthinking is not going to work. Once you see your mind going to that place where you're like, okay this and okay that, and you're starting to question all the possibilities, no girl, it's time for you to get up, go refresh your mind, or just simply say to yourself, no, not today. You're going to be quiet, you're going to stay quiet, and this is how I'm going to start, and this is what I'm going to do, and just leave it at that. Start off by blocking out all those noises in your head that is making you think as though you always have to be the best, do the best, and act as the best. Always remember that we are unique in our own ways, and the fact that we are unique in our own ways is enough for us to stand out. The second way, I definitely believe that I can go forth and overcome my self-sabotaging perfectionism problems, and that is to understand that I am never too old to learn. Too many of us women are feeling that the minute we pass 25 years old, we are considered grown, and because of that, we eliminate the fact that we are just learning. We don't want persons to know that we are just learning, and as I said, most of this comes from the expectation that has been placed on us by society, where they're like, okay, you are supposed to be in the kitchen, you are supposed to be tidying the house, you are supposed to be cleaning those babies' butts, but because you decided to step out of society's boundaries for yourself, you now need to prove to us that you can do it, right? And so the very fact that even if you're learning, you have to portray yourself as though you know it all, I want us to understand, girl, that it's time for us to let that go. It is time for us to quiet those noises in our heads that make us feel as though if you're gonna do it, you better do it perfect or we won't even accept you. Yes, society makes us feel that way because of the stigma that they place on us as women in feeling like you are minimal, and if you choose to step out of that boundary of being minimal, then do it perfect or we won't even look at you. When I say I'm over it, so going forward, never be afraid to let people know that you are learning. Never be afraid to let them understand that you don't know it all. Never be afraid to let them understand that you are thriving to be your best, but this is the baby steps that you're taking to get there, right? And this alone gives you so much power on your self-love journey because you are activating grace even before you need it. Third way that I can most definitely say that I have to go ahead and start ensuring that I allow my perfectionism to be quieted, and that is to take very frequent breaks. I am not the type of person that loves to rest. I'm always on the go, girly girl. I'm always just going. I'm the type of person where if I lie down to rest for 10 minutes, I'm asking myself, what could you be doing? Shouldn't you be doing that? Shouldn't you be doing this? As I always say, even if a new idea comes to my mind, I will spend sleepless nights 24/7 a day. I will even go without eating and just sitting around my computer working on this thing, girl, until I reach the point where I feel like I'm literally about to faint. Why? Because I'm thriving to be perfect, not because the ideas are just flowing for the last 24 hours non-stop. No, it's because the minute the idea came, I just chipped into my perfectionism mood, and that just forced me to be doing a ton of research. I'm watching a ton of YouTube videos. I'm just all over the place trying to figure my next move out, and that in itself is so draining. It's so frustrating. It's like you're overloading your brain in the first day of getting this brilliant idea that you may end up finding yourself really burnt out, really tired, really frustrated. You're not eating, your body's feeling drained, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to feel like utter crap. and you cannot be operating like this on your self-love journey. So tip number 5 for me is to understand that if God gives you a dream, it is your dream, and you don't have to be perfect in order for him to accept it. This is something that I suffered from so much, you guys. Suffered. I suffered from this so much, where I feel as though because God gave me that dream, I needed to be perfect in executing this dream, or else God would not accept my effort in doing it. Girl, no. God says there is no perfect man on this earth but him. And so any dream that God gives you, it is enough for you to start exactly where you are, unless he told you otherwise. Unless he gave you the direction and he said to you, okay, save for 5 years, go get a loan, or go do this, or go do that, seek sponsorship, go do this. If God did not tell you those exact words and he gave you the exact instruction to start now, but then you refuse to start because you're striving to be perfect, because this is God told me to do this. How can God tell me to do something and I don't do it to the best of my ability? Like, girl, right away you failed God. The very fact that you're thinking that way already, you have failed God, because God does not want us to be self-centered. God does not want us to be self-reliant, right? God always wants to be that anchor for us, where we take that time to never forget that he is the one that's going to sustain this idea, sustain our journey, sustain our finances, sustain us overall. God wants us to always remember that he is our sustainer. And the minute we forget that he's our sustainer is where perfectionism chips in, where we thrive to be so good at this thing because we're trying to please the world, right? And so as we go forward, girly girl, in ensuring that every single day of our lives, we forget about trying to be so perfect that we sabotage ourselves in the process of trying to be perfect, that we remember that at the end of the day, we are hurting nobody but ourselves. We are the only ones that is being burnt out. We are the only ones that is suffering from very harsh headache. We are the one that's going to be packed up with the gas pain. We are the one that's also going to feel the blunt when we fail, because we're saying to ourselves, I did this thing so perfect. How could it not have been accepted? How could it not have worked? How could it not have boomed off the way how I wanted it to boom off after I tried for it to be so perfect, right? So girl, as I go on this 30 days of self-love journey, you are going to be seeing a lot of sit-down content. You're going to be seeing my vlogs just the same, my inspirational vlogs as I call them. But at the same time, I have to mix and match, because I know that's something that God has placed deeply down inside of me, and that is the gift of motivating, the gift of inspiring, the gift of compelling, right? I have a very compelling voice, girl. I can talk you out from now till next year. I will never forget when I had my restaurant, and this guy, he was in another restaurant trying to purchase food, right? And as he was trying to purchase the food, I went into that restaurant and I was like, you need to not buy that food, you need to come to my restaurant. And I taught that guy out for 5 minutes straight. And when he was done, he was like, you are such a wicked woman. And I'm like, what? Why? What do you mean? He was like, imagine I left my house for this specific sandwich. I came to the place to buy the sandwich. You came into that place and you convinced me not to buy the sandwich and pulled me to your restaurant to buy food that I never wanted, that cost 5 times the amount of money for that sandwich. And everybody was just laughing. And he was like, you have a gift and you need to pursue that gift. And that's what I remember this morning. I remember the fact that God gave me a voice, and I need to not just use this voice in my vlogs, but I need to use this voice to share the life lessons that I have learned and is still learning, so that it can actually help these women that I know God has called me to help. And girl, I'm just doing the do. Life is a learning process, and this is something that I'm trying to ensure that I'm very much aware of every single day of my life. And so girl, that's basically all that I have to say in today's video. I do hope it was motivational to you, inspiring to you, all of the above. You can pick 1 or 2 things out of it that you can implement in your life. And girl, just remember, this life is about you. It ain't about nobody else. So if they don't like it, tell them to move on. But perfectionism is not going to get you to that life that you so desire. It's the baby steps and the journey that comes with it is where the true beauty lies, girl. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye now.